My name is Gunther Mohr. I come from Frankfurt, Germany. I'm from the border region between Germany and France, and we always had the experience to give a back and forth between France and Germany. So from this perspective, I'm somehow have a multi-perspective background that is very important for me. I'm also, for my profession, I'm economist and psychologist. And yes, I'm mostly working in training, coaching and organizational development.
Brilliant, okay. And how long have you been involved in TA?
Well, I met Bernd Schmidt, TA man from Germany, in 1984 in a seminar about dreams. I'm dreaming with TA, so to say. And then from this time on, I'm involved in TA and had all the, like the TA is organized like like karate or other techniques. So you have to get these belts from up to the black one, and
like
I did the whole career in TA.
You've done the whole karate belt.
Yes.
You're a black belt now.
Yeah.
Great, okay. All right, and tell us a bit about your passions and your interests outside of TA.
Well, outside of TA in the last years, I became a Zen teacher. I do Zazen from the Buddhist background, and I'm to exercise that a lot in my life. That is a very important point for me. On the other hand, I'm interested in a lot of things in politics and sports, and so also I have a family. I'm married and I have 2 daughters. They also are a very important part of my life.
They're an interest to you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so a range of different things that you're interested in. Okay, and tell me about the theory that you've been developing in terms of systems theory.
Yeah. I think the background of it is that TA seemed to me to be a concept that was focused on the one-to-one relation or on groups in the looking at the personal way people deal or cope with problems or going through life, and we didn't have a clear theory, especially in the organizational field, how to work with an organization. What is an organization? How to address the whole organization. And on this background, I worked myself into the whole literature about systems. And also there is a fundament in TA by Byrne. He wrote a book about organizations himself, but it's not that easy book to read, and it's so to say it's eclectic. A lot of aspects, but no real frame.
So no cohesiveness in that, in those ideas. Okay.
And on this space, I thought also after the systemic revolution, so to say, we need a concept in TA that really describes the system when we work with the system. The system is the client for an organizational transactional analyst, and therefore we have to have a concept for the system.
Yeah. So what is it that you've developed? What is your piece of theory?
I'm always interested in practical concepts. Not there is a lot of theory what organizations are, but as an organizational transactional analyst, I have the challenge to really work with an organization to change the organization. And the concept I developed is a concept of 10 system dynamics. System dynamics mean there are 10 dynamics patterns, so to say, with which you can describe an organization, where you can focus certain points where you intervene in, and also you can evaluate how the organization develops in these dimensions.
Okay, so there's 10 different dimensions.
Yeah.
And so as an organizational consultant, you're looking at all 10 of those dimensions. And then
yes.
Can you explain how you would apply that and then the theory?
Yeah. For example, the first 6 dimensions are very crucial. I tell them, for example, there is the attention dimension. Where is the real attention of the organization? What do the people talk about? What are they doing in the organization?
So it's not just what is
not what is
said to be the attention, but what really is the attention.
Really, what do they do? Are they
Yeah.
talking about their fears for change process, or are they working? What is their strategic element, their operative idea?
Okay.
The second dimension is a role dimension. How does an organization create roles? Do they have a lot of roles or only some? What do they do on the role level? Then the third dimension is relationship.
Okay.
The fourth dimension and the fifth and the sixth are more process elements. They are communication, problem solving, and success processes. So, and if you identify this, you can do that as a consultant to describe this dimensions. And there also exists a questionnaire and material that even the people in the company can make an assessment for themselves.
Okay.
And that is normally the best way to do it, not to do it from an outside expert perspective, but that the people identify themselves on these dimensions.
All right, so you would facilitate, you would explain it, explain the dimensions and facilitate them in coming to their own conclusions about
well, the advantage is that these dimensions, as I said, for example, are not formulated in classical TA language, script or games, but in a language that people in an organization understand. They understand what communication is, they understand what problem solving is.
Yes.
And then, but you can add, if you go deeper in it, you can add a lot of classical TA concepts to undermine these kind of dimensions.
So things like when the focus is relationship, the dimension of relationship, then you could use concepts like transactions.
For example, you can look, are there symbiosis in the organization?
Yeah, okay.
Symbiosis on a role level, for example. Does someone shift his responsibility to another one in the organization? That is typical problem that we have.
Okay.
Or what do they do in on the communication dimension today? Are they in a personal communication, or do they communicate by email, although they are 2 meters from each other?
Okay.
So you can get a lot of the real organization as it is, and then you have a status how it is, and also you can work out with the client, the organizational people, what could be the perspective, and you can go for the future. Where do they want to come to? Also on each dimension. Yeah.
Okay. So it's about where they are on the dimensions at the moment, and how do they want to be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so so give me an example of how you've actually applied this piece of
for example, we did do that with boards of companies.
Okay.
It's good to have a lot of people in it, but sometimes from the counseling or the consultant perspective, you can reach you have to reach a relevant group, and the board of a company is a relevant group, and then they look at, for example, we had a company with 6 members in the board, and then they did it in 3 pairs, 3 couples, and looked at these dimensions, and then they presented their company by the dimensions and through the dimensions to each other.
Okay.
And then they had to this coherence process. Who are we really in our company?
So then they talked about it. Excuse me. They identified, and then they talked about it in the company.
Yeah. Then we can talk about what is needed in the company, and on each of the dimensions, you have certain interventions. Okay. In the concept. On a role level, you have different interventions than, for example, on the communication level. For example, on the role level, you have really you have to come together and to define the roles or the boundaries of roles, for example. On the communication level, maybe you have you can do a training for efficient communication in the company.
Okay, so it helps you also as the consultant to think about what you can offer and how you can tailor your work to the needs of that individual company.
And we can contract with the company people what they need, what they want to do. Yeah.
Okay, so can you just run through the 10 different dimensions again, so that we've got them in one bit? So the 10 dimensions are
the attention dimension,
yeah,
the role dimension, relationships, communication, problem solving, success.
okay.
Yeah, and then we have 4 additional. They are more or less more systemic. We have the balance dynamic. Is the organization, do they feel they are in a balance or in a totally irritated state? Then we have the term recursivity. That means, are principles the same through the organization?
Okay.
Or is one department totally different from another? If you wouldn't recognize the same company if you come from one department to the other.
Okay, so is the sort of culture the same? Is
Right,
there a team
right.
that's very different than
Yeah.
that
No,
has
the
very different values
yeah.
or something than the rest of the
Values,
organization?
yes, participative leadership or authoritarian, and we have a lot of research about that an organization is functioning better if it is not that different in this kind of thing. And the last 2 dimensions are taken from Byrne. These are the boundary dimensions, but
Okay.
also in a dynamic aspect. It's the outer boundary. I call that pulsation. How is the organization breathing at their outer boundary?
So how do they meet the world, and how?
Yeah, do they integrate people? Do they integrate information? Are people going out? Are informations going out? And also Byrne focused on the inner boundaries between the departments. How are the subsystems in an organization related to each other? What subsystem is growing? Are others decreasing? For example, the IT department in a lot of organizations has increased a lot in the last years. So, for example, banks are now more or less IT companies,
Yeah.
and with some money business around. So you can really describe the organization, assess the organization, and get information and contract about points where to intervene.
Okay, and then where the existing TA theory comes in is in what you do about those particular areas. Like we were talking about communication or relationships or systems or boundaries or stuff.
Yes,
so
also
this is a sort of overarching piece of theory to help you to diagnose and to facilitate awareness that you then apply other pieces of theory.
And dynamics are not formulated in a pathological way, like a lot of TA concepts. And also, as I said, there are some instruments like a questionnaire.
Yeah.
You can really rate, you get a number about the organization. And in the single questions in the questionnaire, there are TA concepts built in.
Okay.
Yes, for example, is on the communication pattern or communication dynamics, there is a question in it, how are emotions integrated in communication? Can people communicate about emotions? And that is a typical TA idea.
Yeah.
That there are complete ego states of thinking, feeling, and behavior.
Okay, and your focus is on the is not on the pathology, but on the resources, on building resources. What are the resources, and what more resources do people have in need in various different areas?
Yes, we do both. The dynamics, they look at the structure and the culture. For example, on the role and relationship dimension, you have aspects of structure in it, how many roles, how is the organigram, for example, and also you have this kind of are the relationships between the roles more in a family style, or are they very business-like, hire and fire mentality like American companies, for example, or are they more cooperative? And so cultures are also different in this.
Yeah, brilliant, lovely, very interesting, lovely. Thank you. Is there anything else? What else would you like people to know about you?
About me personally?
About you personally, yeah.
I think the most important thing for TA is that everyone should develop TA somehow further. And I remember that in old times, in the starting time of TA, everyone was certified in TA by bringing in a new concept, not being conservative and to reproduce what others have written. And I think that is important to stay creative, to look into the world. What are the challenges now?
Yes, to be evolving. And for people to develop their ideas, not just accept that these are the ideas, because everybody can bring something new, some different ideas.
So TA is a living body.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, lovely. All right, that's great. Thank you very much.
I thank you.